It's about social justice issues. It's about conversations. It's about bringing the community together and bridging those conversations.
Highlighting local Black artists.
Her impact lives on in the incredible, diverse kinds of arts that we get to experience now.
She was fearless. She was a force. I mean, she was a force in so many ways.
Curator Zoe Desan championed modern art and was notably the first person to showcase Yayoi Kusama's work in the United States. At her urging, in 1953, Life magazine published a feature on Mark Tobey, Kenneth Callahan, Guy Anderson, and Morris Graves, 4 Northwest artists who would soon become known as the influential Northwest School. She would later be praised for waging her one-woman crusade to have Northwest painters recognized on a nationwide scale by Life magazine writer Dorothy Seiberling.
Well, when we first started the gallery, it was the year before the World's Fair. And at that time, there were really only 2 galleries in Seattle, the Otto Seligman Gallery, which revolved around Mark Tobey, and Zoe Dusanne, who started the first legitimate gallery in Seattle, who was at that time colorful and controversial and wonderful. And
I actually discovered Zoe Dusanne probably in 2016. I didn't really know about her before then. So who she is Seattle's first gallery operator, owner for contemporary and modern art. And when I found that out, it was like, oh my God, you mean that was a Black woman that did that? And yes, that's who she was. And she operated her gallery in Seattle from 1950 to 1965. And then her daughter picked it up and ran it until 1972.
She could navigate social circles in Seattle. She commissioned the very young architecture firm Tucker, Shields and Terry to build her a small home on the east slope above Lake Union. It was on Lakeview. And the idea was that this would be a small home, very modernist, nothing quite like it in Seattle. And it would also be a gallery. And she opened that as a home and gallery in 1949. Apparently she decorated it in great taste, white walls, but elegant furniture, and she was a very elegant woman herself. And her home became an attraction, really a salon for people to gather and talk as well.
Right after the war, a very important person came to Seattle, and that was Zoe Dusanne. And she started a little gallery, but she had most beautiful things. And I think that people then began to be, the more important and wealthy people could see things. They donated them to the museum.
I think it's very unfortunate that Zoe Dussan lost her home to make way for the I-5 freeway. Because it had so much glass, it could not be moved, so they had to demolish it. I think that's really unfortunate, but it's replicated in so many ways today. And I hope that people see that it's important to hold on. And if you can't hold on, be sure to document it and make sure that those stories are made public.
So people will be like, they'll get this weird feeling. I've had people be like, oh, this is so strange. I feel like I'm in my family's house or my grandmother's house. So they feel really comfortable at home. Sometimes people ask if they should take off their shoes.
Yep, you're good. Common marker, soft sticks.
Elisheba Johnson is a multimedia artist, curator, and poet. As a co-founder of Wanawari, a center for Black art and belonging in the Central District, Seattle's historically Black community, She helps to incubate and amplify Black art.
This house has been in Inye's family for 5 generations. Inye's my partner, Jill Friedberg, Rachel Kessler, and I. And the 4 of us really wanted to see what could happen if we turned it into a gallery space. His grandfather bought this house. It's mostly been a place for family, but then always it was like a community space. It was weird if the door was closed. His mom, Bertie, she was always cooking something and people were always here. They knew that if they came here, they could meet somebody they knew and talk to. So we kind of feel like we're just continuing that. People will come in and be like, I like this museum, and I'm like, we're not a museum. Art is an inquiry, right? And curating is a thesis statement. So you're thinking about ideas, you're bringing artists in to explore those ideas. Those are the type of curatorial decisions that you're just making of like, how do I want somebody to feel in the space? And so then I'm like, what do I want people to feel about this work? How do I want them to come into it? So we will have large scale installations, film, video, you name it. And we also do like paintings and other stuff. But we do sell work, but that's not our primary goal. Our primary goal is to really create a space with art for people to have dialogue.
I think what Elisheba saw in this work was that, Wanawari is a space for cultivating Black life and futures and things like that. And perhaps like in excavating the questions that are in the artwork you see in this room, we can sort of move toward that in a different way. But I'm also really excited to be in a space that's clearly connected to community, that has a historical relationship with Black history in this city.
I think that's important for a lot of like residencies or kind of exhibits that happen, especially in like intimate spaces like houses, where like so much of what you bring to it is influenced by where you are, and so being able to physically alter and change spaces is important.
Case 21 is our organizing work where they're really looking at how can you scale up the model of what we're doing. Maybe a grandmother is interested in keeping her home, her kids moved out, maybe she can rent that to an artist. So we rezoned this house from a single family home to a community center, which was a very long process, but we wanted to do that so we could document the steps. So if there were other Black and brown folks that wanted to do similar paths, they could figure a way out to do that. I think that art is a connector. It welcomes people. There was a woman that came up to us a couple months ago and she literally said she wanted to live around Wanawari, a Black woman, so that her child could be exposed to Black art.